Hey guys, we're back, and I have a special guest in the building, and Andrew unfortunately is unable to join us because of last minute dad things. So if you were expecting Andrew, unfortunately he's not going to be in the building this week, but he'll be back next week, and he's very happy about the Arsenal result from last night. Anybody else that's curious about that, let us know in the world where you're tuning in from. And whilst you're doing that, I'm going to introduce our co-host for today, a good mate of mine living in Chester, another digital agency guy, but we share loads more than that. Music, all sorts is like the background. And we met about 6 years ago. We were just talking in the green room, right? And you reached out to me. We met in Liverpool. Anyone familiar with Liverpool tuning in? And we went for a coffee.
I literally hunted you down, Chris.
Yeah,
I think it's fair to say I hunted you down because I was like, who is this guy? How has he come out of nowhere and started blowing stuff up? And I was like, I need to find out a little bit more about this elusive Chris Branch. So yeah, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure I found you on the internet, demanded that you come and meet me for a coffee in Liverpool, in Mother, I think it was, of all spots.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And yeah, we just clicked, man. And I've known you for a hot minute, 6 or 7 years now.
Yeah, it's been like crazy how fast it's gone, considering, you know, all those projects that we've been doing since then, and kind of mental. And lots of people tuning in who are legends of the podcast. Glenn, so happy about you donating that amazing campaign you span off to the animal stuff. I'm so happy to hear that. And, you know, well done. Got Istanbul tuning in. Hey, New York City in the building. How's it going, Eric? Hey, let's go. Another funny bit of trivia about me and Chris. We both have partners called Laura, so can imagine the double dates. The double dates are bloody hilarious. 2 Chris's and 2 Lauras in the building. Hey, everyone. Sorry I can't see your name. Sometimes LinkedIn doesn't bring through the username. I don't know why that is. Maybe we have to be connected. I'm not sure. Sometimes it hides you.
One of those great features where it's like someone from McDonald's has looked at you.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll try and tune in on the LinkedIn on the other page. It's hard to sort of mod and host and do all these things and bring in the comments. Hey, South Africa in the house, let's go.
It's getting busy today.
Mate, I absolutely love how everyone's tuning in from everywhere, and like so many crazy news stories. Look, Pakistan, Santa Barbara, amazing. So many news stories this week when it comes to AI, and it was just mental, really. Like Kling came out, the new OpenAI stuff went on. Kling 2.0, this is Midjourney version 7 announced. And tell me more about this, Megan, because obviously you're the official. But I heard that the next announcement is more people will be accessing the editor, don't need an annual subscription. More features in the editor and stuff like this. They're training a video model to be released at the end of the month, but they're not sure about the cost or how good it will be. But they're hoping, and this is from the office hours last night, I was listening in, to be somewhere middle ground, Chris. So you know how there's like VO2, which is 50 cents a second. It quite literally is 50 cents a second per generation. And then there's like Minimax, which is like, you know, the opposite end of the scale, but still high quality, but, you know, a lot cheaper. And then there's these guys, Midjourney, they're going to pitch somewhere in the middle. So not the quality of VO2, but not the price of VO2, and not a bit better than Minimax, but we'll see, you know, eventually, and it'll be something different. But Midjourney,
like everyone's changing their pricing structures on a weekly basis at the minute, just to see where that sort of PMF is. And I don't know, who is even defining that? Like someone's charging, as you say, £300 a video. Someone's charging £3 a video.
Yes, man.
I don't know if there's much difference between the two, to be honest.
I mean, it's really crazy. Like, I think there's going to be like some middle ground found, because unless you have like monetization or clients, it's really hard to justify VO2 costs, honestly. And like, why do you need that level of professionalism? You know, you can tell great stories with really just much simpler tools. Like, you're a comfy UI guy, and that's something I definitely want to touch on today. You know, you've sort of touched on the more technical stuff because of your background in just more nodes and stuff, you know, like you're half art director, half node curator, which is I've never been as much node man as you, which is so much You're my go-to consultant when it comes to all that stuff. And there's people that are watching that are other comfy UI experts and, you know, prefer that sort of way of working as opposed to the, you know, web face interfaces we use and stuff like this are much more simple for art directors. And but there's a mix. There's a mix of everyone. Like Glenn is more on our side and others are more in the comfy UI side. But yeah, it's crazy how the 4.0 thing, like, I told you this when we met the other day. I was like, you know, ControlNet was a very difficult thing to sort of get right in comfy UI. And the new 4.0 image generator does a large part of what was very difficult to do in the comfy UI sort of thing very easily.
It's blown it out of the water.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's actually crazy to see that they solve so many steps. It reminded me of the Dream Booth, photo booth apps, you know, where you don't need to learn prompting. You simply upload your thing and then bang, 5 minutes later, you look like a Harry Potter character or you look like an 80s yearbook character or whatever it was that you chose. So fascinating that solving those things can make millions on board. They literally had 1 million users in a single hour or something insane. It was like unbelievable. Like,
is that still going now? Or did they tank it?
What, the image generator?
The Dream Booth thing.
Oh, well, that's the problem, isn't it? I mean, they were making like $500,000 like a week through Instagram because they were running ads on stuff like this. But then Comfy UI sort of open sourced that, you know, so a lot more was done for free and it became easier and easier. And now everyone's got ChatGPT. We started this action figures thing and look how many people are doing it. Tens of millions on the internet making their own action figure. Now, we never gave away our prompts, and it wasn't just the ChatGPT thing. We actually used 3 or 4 tools, but clearly it sparked something, you know? Someone goes, oh, that's a really smart idea. I can add my, like, little icons and widgets and whatever I want, you know, my coffee mug or my whatever, and it just took off. And you know, that onboarding and that sort of level of like popularity would never have been possible if it was gated through a $15 app or if it was in a Comfy UI technical instance. So it's like seeing something underground in music go mainstream. That's what it's really like. It's like,
it's funny when you sent me that, like, you sent me that about 3 weeks ago now. My very own figurine.
Your own little figurine,
What is this?
Because I wasn't vain enough to do. I still haven't done me. I've always done it for my people. I made a first one I made is I thought, what's the applications of this? I could speak to anyone I wanted to, and I'd probably be the first to approach them. So who in the world do I want to speak to? Shane Gillis, comedian. Absolute legend. The next, you know, Louis C.K., Norm Macdonald, I'm a fanboy. I've watched thousands of hours of his YouTube.
Have you found him on LinkedIn yet?
Don't need to, because he's the #1 on Patreon. They're the #1 subscriber on Patreon, making up to $1 million a month just through a comedy podcast. So they're like, you know, the goats of comedians, and so I made them their own action figures with my favorite jokes and bits in, because as an icebreaker, a way to introduce ourselves. And then the next series I thought of is Legends of Marketing. You know, all my friends who are Legends of Marketing, because that goes with the action figure thing. You know, it goes with the like, oh, you'd have a special edition series and it could be the Legends of something. And then I thought, well, I've got lots of great marketers I could give something to. And then I thought, well, the head of Google, he's a legend of marketing. What if I did the head of Google AI creative, his own action figure, and he posted it like 3 weeks ago. And I think that started a lot of this, you know, because when the head of Google creative does something, even though it wasn't a Google creative tool, got me thinking though, like sending it to someone else, you can write things that they would never write themselves, you know, like best dad in the world, like nicest guy. Like how ridiculous would that look if you made that yourself? Then it made me realize it's a gift thing, you know, it's not so much look at me and my things, and that's why I never did my own. But Glenn here, who's tuning in, did the best version of this of all time, because he used it as a WWF awareness thing, and he got rid of the animals in the packaging and just left the outline of perfect, you know. Now
I see you posted that. Was that Glenn's work?
Yeah, Glenn's work. He's a legend. You know, 30 years advertising creative. And like the brilliant thing about him is that he always puts his twists on my ideas. And that was by far the best twist. And he mocked it up with WWF. Now they haven't taken it, but another animal charity he's donated it to have. So it's going to be an official campaign, and that's great. Like, that's the whole idea of starting something like this, is that it leads to other creative ideas and some actual, like, you know, positive stuff for awareness for charities or whatever it may be. Yeah, you took the baton and you flew with it, Glenn. I know I've called you out a lot for this, but thank you. Millions others didn't. Millions. I mean, tens of millions, literally. I was saying to Paul, it might be the thing that's united the most LinkedIn accounts of all time ever. It might be the thing that I've seen every brand, every person, every body, like, uniquely jumping on this trend, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of bled beyond LinkedIn now as well. Obviously, you guys tried that
Instagram, Reddit, everywhere.
Ago. It's all over Instagram. I think people have started taking it up a notch now. Like, here's my figurine stepping out of the plastic and walking.
Yeah, the videos and stuff. Yeah.
And
that's a great segue, mate. Like, that's a perfect segue, because we've got new video models to talk about. We've got showcases of, like, stuff. And, you know, many people have argued that Kling 1.0 was already the leader, above VO2 even, because of its ability to do aspect ratios and, you know, really control of style and input frames and multi-inputs. And VO2 is kind of locked off to 1:16:9, and that's image to video workflows. So, being that Kling 1 was already the winner, how much further has Kling jumped ahead with Kling 2? That was the ultimate question this week. It was, right, they are the first update, even though they're already on top. So how much further ahead can they get? Because everyone else is going to leapfrog them soon, or try to anyway. So
I've seen some whips this last couple of hours, and it's insane what's coming out the net.
It's mad, isn't it? It's really mad what's coming down the pipe. It's truly crazy. And Rory, who is a friend of the podcast, Rory Flynn, he basically sent me, like, a high resolution version of his initial test, being that this has only been out literally days. He sent me some music that he created in Udio, and I remastered it for him. So nice little collab there on the music side. So let's watch 1 minute clip of Rory's Kling 2 tests. There's a reason why I call him the Dave of demos, because it's nuts how fast he can turn these around and prove how awesome a model is. Like, he should be on commission. I've been telling him this, like, you know, I'm sure thousands of users have signed up, because he's going viral in LinkedIn right now with that very video. He just was very kind to send us a high quality version for the stream. But yeah, nuts. All of those started out as single riff reference images in Midjourney version 7 as the first keyframe. And unfortunately, Kling 2.0 can't have multi-images yet. So it is just first keyframe. And then everyone is like a 10-second generation that you managed to get off. That's the max length. You got 2, 5 seconds and 10 seconds. It is very costly though, 200 credits per 10 seconds of generation, which is, you know, approximately 30 cents a second. So 20 cents under VO2, but like still, you know, not cheap per generation per second. It's going to be expensive, but that's the quality that you can look at, and unfathomable to think about that from this time last year. Honestly, it's mind-bogglingly more competent than anything we could have even dreamed about last year.
That skeletal hand flex is like a humble flex in its own right. You know, it's absolutely insane to see the visual detail and how it's depicting the bones and structure of the rigging, if you like, from a prompt.
Yeah. The physics, the real world physics, you know, like where there's an imprint of the foot and stuff like this, like it's really much closer. Like there's still a little uncanny valley where a misstep is obviously, you know, a little bit of physics that should have been. I noticed that in the American, you know, footballers running out of the tunnel. But like, you know, those minute details are so much closer ironed out than I ever expected. Really, kind of insane. Yeah, crazy stuff, Rob. Thank you so much for tuning in. Absolute legend. We've got some seriously, like, you know, legendary people in the building, like 30+ year advertising legends, and they've kept up with this technology. And the thing I've always said since the start of this, it's about your mindset to change. Doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. Doesn't matter what sex you are. You can be female, young, old, anywhere. You can be anywhere. And if you take this stuff seriously, you can really do amazing things with small teams these days. It's really remarkable how far people can punch up above their weight. And I'm really excited to announce actually that Hal Watmo, who was the winner of last night's AI animation competition at Curious Refuge, is going to be joining us in about 45 minutes. And he solo made a 5-minute animation that won him 10 grand in an AI competition. So there's real money to be made. There's real stuff that, you know, he gets to pitch his project to Dave's studio at Promise. And it's just crazy. It's so crazy. And yes, Rory is the best LinkedIn user. Don't know who you are. I'm sorry about that. But yes, he is the best. Compared to previous generation, for the desired results, on the other hand, if you want to get desired results at first, I get this is better for value for money. Yes, you're right there, Faizan. Actually, that was the big Andrew, my usual co-host. He said, it doesn't matter how much these cost. If I need to generate 10 to get one working one and the ratio is 10-1 fails, then it's not good. You know, I'd much rather pay a lot for one that works straight away, and I don't need to sit there for 10 generations. So that's a very valid point. Like, we have to take these costs into consideration of they're not failing as much. There's less issues, and you can make 10 seconds of generation and actually expect for the physics to work throughout those 10 seconds. And that's a really nice segue. I really appreciate that, because one of the most amazing videos I've ever seen in AI is a one-shot 53-second generation that's smooth. Now, this is from Runway, and it's not a publicly available thing yet, but it's the idea of continuous scene generation. We've seen this a lot with like music videos where you take the last frame, edit it, make a new generation, sort of manually splice it together. But this is one shot prompting something. So check this out, guys. I love that they put the music to that, like drum and bass style, because it feels like, you know, those graphics that people used to put on YouTube, you know, those sort of like
visualization.
Yeah, visualize is exactly the word I was looking for. But you can control the visualizer. You know, you can actually like steer it as to the tone of your music. And as a musician, you can just make these now that are much more like watchable things. You know, you don't just listen because you know it's a visualizer and it's just going to do the same pattern over and over again. It's actually a constantly evolving thing that you can steer. That's pretty remarkable when you think about it, the consequences of that.
There's a big trend of that, exactly that, in sort of live shows and big productions. People using like local comfy instances, piping in the live show through a comfy server, generating, you know, really high def on demand generative video, which can be controlled by a VDJ or touch
Exactly,
designer.
VJs, yeah. The hidden elements. I should have said earlier, Chris is an absolute legend in the music space. You know, he's worked from everyone from Foo Fighters, the Elton John, you know, like I should have said, you know, Andrew, I do the disservice to as well, because Andrew knows Snoop Dogg, he knows all these people. It's crazy.
Yeah, it shocks me how connected like Davis is. I was like, what? I do know all these people.
It's it's really remarkable, right? And like thinking about it, I think this is the most exciting time for underground artists too, because they never had the chance to make these music videos. You know, you need a production budget, you need a music video director, you need all sorts of people, actors, scenes, cameras. Oh God. And now you can like think about like how things could be done. Like I'm talking to Rourke, who's a good friend, another person I met in Adobe AI Summit. Okay. He's on the road right now with a major musician doing a whole American tour, 50 legs of the tour, all through America and Canada. And he's on the road on the tour bus, you know, making AI content for him on the road. Like he's literally like
a different show every day.
It's thinking about that. Like imagine, you know, you're in Detroit, it's raining. That's all you need. You can make a whole music video on those two like variables, you know, like you could make a completely unique visual for that location 24 hours ahead of the gig. It's really remarkable times and quite daunting, to be honest, because of how much you can do. You know, like we talk about automation where it makes sense in creativity, and we talk a lot about like manual creativity and AI and humans in the loop, and it's starting to blur, you know, the lines of where things can be made and how much is going to get made. And it's really strange how it's starting to blur, but it is really crazily exciting times. And yeah, I mean, it's so exciting that I haven't even talked about the news or showcased any of the videos you've all sent me, because it's like I'm so enthusiastic about talking about it and everyone's going off in the comments, you know, like, no frame interpolations. I saw a few, you know, I saw a very few Faizan there, but it looked like, you know, they could be smoothed out very soon. And like that's remarkable. Like, because 10 seconds was really hard. To get something to stay coherent for 10 seconds, until very recently was very difficult. And then there was a white paper that was like trying to manipulate, I think it was Tom and Jerry, and they did like minute long like generations. And then all of a sudden the Runway guys come out with the same idea. And then, you know, if that's very popular, everyone will get it. That's the way this stuff works. And so we can sort of expect a lot longer generations probably very soon, as long as they haven't got too much rich detail, I expect, is the caveat to begin with, or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, one of the most exciting ones I've seen, mate, Higgsfield. We talked about this a little bit, you know, the camera motion, camera controlling one. They're trying to solve something a bit like Magnific, you know, the upscaling tool. That's all they to do. So I saw this really cool example by Paige Piskin, who's somebody that posts on LinkedIn a lot. She's like art director. Yeah, she's really, really cool creative director. So she had this idea of controlling the camera and making a giant person run through a tiny world. So let's have a quick look at that.
One pill makes you larger and one pill makes you small, and the ones that mother gives you.
Just a really short clip, and it's just a proof of concept, you know, to see how the camera tracking worked. And so cool, you know. I really like that idea of just showing quick little things that inspire bigger projects, or, you know, or whatever it may be.
There's a guy I came across on Instagram the other day, actually, which I should have shared this with you beforehand, but this was a last minute booking of my time. But I'll send it with you for next week, perhaps. There's a guy that does these like breakdown videos where he can try and discern, like, has AI been used in this VFX chain or not? Because obviously we've got like character ref now, we've got infinite amounts of potential in terms of text, image-based, video-based. There's just, you know, sky's the limit. But he does these breakdowns and then basically scores, you know, the likelihood of AI being used in the chain. And then he'll interview the person who actually made the thing. And but, you know, the interview essentially is held after he's done his gauge. of,
That's really cool.
of how likely it should be that AI has been used. And yeah, as like a bit of a micro series, I'll share it with you because I think there's lots of little tidbits in there, little whips in there that you should share on this channel because his perspective of the whole thing is really valuable. But
yeah, I love a
really
behind the scenes breakdown too.
Yeah, it's just, you know, often there's like 3 or 4 seconds that have been generated, stitched into a much broader storyboard.
Yes,
or life cycle.
We featured a few last week, mate. We featured one's on Amazon Prime Video right now. They used it for one character, and it was, instead of using like Wonder Dynamics or something like this, they used like something else. But yeah, it's hybridized is brilliant. I think that's actually a really interesting use case right now. Like, and yeah, it's getting mainstream involved. You know, they all, the Disney CEO said this is the most powerful technology Disney's ever used. That was a really shocking thing for him to admit, you know, because Disney's pioneered so many things, like you said, VFX, mechanics, robotics, like all these like immersive, experiential things, and yet they are, animatronics, so many things, you know, like legendary in the space, biggest in the world entertainment company for a reason. And yet they're saying, you know, the amount of personalization that AI can offer their fans and the amount of other things that they've never seen in powerful technology in the whole, you know, lifetime of Disney, which is 100 years or whatever it is, you know, it's a big, long company. So yeah, it's crazy because even just 2 years ago, companies were not willing to say that. We're in the writer's strike. We were in the middle of, like, you know, the anti-AI stuff, and we're still not out of it yet. There's still a lot of that like feeling and sentiment around certain areas of the world, but others are very excited about its possibilities. And yeah, it's really crazy to see like what a global community with all these tools, as you said, like there are thousands of them now. And it's like, which ones do you focus on? And what do you want to make with those things? What's the point of making these things?
What's your sort of daily involvement in the whole thing now? Like, because last time we spoke a few weeks ago, I think you guys were at a bit of a crossroads. You've gone down the whole like LinkedIn services, AI services, training people how to use AI. And obviously the space is moving so fast.
Yeah,
like,
so rapidly.
I can't even keep up with it. And I'm doing it every single day. But like, what's your typical sort of BAU, Chris Branch HQ? Like, what are you doing with these services on a day-to-day basis? Is it more like an education play? Is it like an R&D play? Are you just hacking away to see what pops up? Where's the commercial use case that you're riffing on for a minute?
Yeah, it's a great point, mate. Like you said, because things rapidly evolve, we know the shelf life of digital products, you know, recording like a series of videos on something. Imagine you just did one on Kling, you know, and you just put it out on YouTube yesterday, and then Kling 2 drops the next day. Like, you're like, oh no, well, that's dated, like it lasted a day, and all that effort to make that, you know. And so I think it's a bit of everything right now. It is consultancy. It is like, you know, advising, because you don't want them to steer them down many people are going the wrong way, as we've discussed. You know, brands are doing AI wrong. They're getting their customers annoyed. They're getting backlash online. They need to be smarter about their implementation and understanding of where it should be used. So it is a having to be educated thing. And then, you know, suggesting what they need, like, so creative services is something Paul's always done. And it's just to what regard, you know, like, because does he want to make 10-minute short films? Does he want to make social media carousels? Does he want to make them for B2B, B2C? Does he want to make them for, you know, all the possibilities there? I have always, like, you know, guided on LinkedIn and strategy and training and workshops, like you said. But when things move so rapidly and you're just like, well, what should I teach people, and where should I focus, and what niche should I go for? And it becomes muddy. Like, will that last? You know, will they want to continue use AI or not? It's really difficult.
Do you think the brands that are adopting AI should have like empathy for the creatives who might be fans of the brand? Do you think they should like celebrate that they've used AI and say upfront, disclaimer, we used 80% AI or 20% AI. It would be really sort of no bullshit about the whole thing. Be super transparent about it. Do you think that's something that brands should adopt? Because that's a question I get.
Definitely, transparency. Transparency is half the issue to the, like, you know, backlash. is that it's discovered that it was used instead of it being reported and marketing that it's used. And like everybody, like if you own a business right now, everyone's just hacking in AI because it's going to make them collect more data and be more valuable for the business owner. Really think about your customers and your marketing and why you're giving them AI and what benefits they'll receive from this stuff. Because Snapchat did it really badly to begin with. They forced AI. Many people like quit the platform. You know, they brought it back since, but like the initial outreach and outroll was very not good PR. And that's what I mean about the mistakes that many brands make is they go, oh, they'll love this, they'll want this. It's like, well, what benefits will they get and why do they want this? They're not thinking that deeply about it. They're thinking this will be great for us, and therefore, you know, they'll take it. But it's like, no, it needs to be great for them because you're changing something and asking more of them. And you know, it's really just like, if you're thinking about it as an employee thing, think the same. You want your employees to upskill in AI. What benefit will they receive? Will you give them some time off if they complete their work faster? You know, are you a value-driven person or are you an hours-driven person? Like, these are all of the considerations that AI people have. Like, if you can deliver something in a lot less time and it's the same value as someone that took twice as much time, should you have time off? Like, these are the things people will have to consider. But yeah, it gets deep, doesn't it? Like, it really gets deep. Like, a lot of businesses, the Klarna guy came out and said, look, you've got to upskill and we're not hiring, you know, AI is going to do this and that. And it made him very unpopular. You know, again, that's his choice to come out in public and do it that way. But like, I wouldn't have advised him that if I was his PR manager, because you know it's going to get people sticking in the mud about that. You know that people are going to grate against that. So it's about how you do it, not just where and why you do it. It's like how you do it. And yeah,
I think it's obviously got a merit, obviously in the Gen AI space from like a visual, but my adoption of the whole AI space is less visual now and more like
data and processes.
There's this realm of like processing and systems and agentic workflows and MCP servers and all these weird and wonderful things that have cropped up in the last 6 months. I still think it's quite nascent, quite early, but trying to be an adopter of all of these things. And I'm in the midst of building something right now, which it may or may not see the light of day, but it's very much like an R&D spike currently, which is I'm making an alias that can respond to clients outside of hours and essentially really like triage their requests via Gmail, try and work with them on email, like, you know, a semi-sentient being, if you will, but I'm caveating every response with, this is an AI. I'm here to try and help you. I'm here to try and answer your question. If you need to speak to a tech lead or a consultant or whatever, then there's their diary, go ahead and book with them. But I'm trying to triage and help you along the way. But I think that's a very basic.
It's so obvious because, like, what's the alternative? You got to raise a ticket and then 24 hours, someone might respond. And, like, you know, these are the friction points that people get frustrated with and change their agency for. So you could literally be saving someone a client by having a system like that. You don't have account managers and stuff. And if it's 24 hours, you know, they're not going to want to work outside of your 9 to 5 either because they're human beings. So, you know, obvious pain points that you're solving there. That's what I mean. Like, it just makes sense to solve that pain point. And many people aren't thinking like that yet. They're not thinking, well, this is an obvious pain point that many people receive. It would solve my problem. And therefore, if I build it, like you said, might not make the MVP, might not make a scalable product. If it solves your problem, though, you know, then it can solve others. Like, that's as simple as it is. Like, great way to think about product building. Really is. By the way, I know you've got to drop out, mate. Anytime you need to drop out, like, don't worry.
I've got like another couple of minutes, then I've got to bounce. But I was going to say, I think the more we sort of force the agenda and make it more commonplace and you know, more expected behavior, if you like, I think the likelihood is that the recipient of these AI GAN-enabled responders, you know, the recipient will probably just be like, you know, I'm used to this now. Accepted. And I'm okay with that. I
think we're all used to it already. We all talk to ChatGPT so often. It's like, I go to ChatGPT 10 times more. And actually, I would say Perplexity. I'd go to Perplexity more than Google 10 times more. Because that's my, you know, when I open a new browser tab, I don't have Google anymore. I have it set to Perplexity because mostly I'm asking questions that I know I'll have to go to a forum through Google and through the ads and all of that. So, you know, when I'm searching for products, again, Perplexity is a nice way to do it. Like, it's crazy. It like,
I like Perplexity. For me, I prefer the Gemini UI. I think Perplexity is a bit too flashy, and obviously, like the new deep research model, I don't know if it's still classed as experimental from
That's
Gemini.
how deep we are. We've got preferences now. You know, like they all can do the things we need, and you just now choose your favorite UI or favorite like price or whatever. You know, for $20 a month, you can essentially get intelligence on tap, and we now are used to talking to this smarter version of a search engine, but loads more. You know, so yeah, I think the agentic era is sort of like ready. You know, we're ready to talk to agents, whether or not we want to. We are ready. Like what 2 billion ChatGPT users, the most adoptive technology of all time. You know, I think we're ready.
Anyone who's speaking to, you know, an e-commerce live widget is, you know, 9 times out of 10, it's
exactly
a RAG with a LLM in front of it, which is giving you some answers. And that's become
it's a smarter chatbot, right? Like you've been through all that evolution. You've seen the FAQ bot, the on-site bot, you've seen the dumb bot, you've seen the automated bot. We've seen it all. The make.com, formerly Integromat, you know, we've seen all of it. Now, the difference with agentic is the smart. Like you said, it's like actually learning and adaptive and can progress and get better. And the more users that interact with it, the more finely tuned you can make it with the feedback loops. And, you know, these are different to software. These are new, like, it's crazy. Like, it's going to become so much more useful to us, like, and less time wasting. And, like genuinely exciting times. And hopefully, you know, we talk about that a lot because everyone's fearful. It's going to take your job. It's going to do this. It's like, oh yeah, but, you know, like with all the good big things, there's great power and great downsides. You know, there's always a rise in both. So those that use responsibly and use it ethically, especially before the law changes, we're going to prevail in this stuff. You know, it's just like I said, it's about your adoption mindset to this stuff. It really is. It's not your age, it's not your sex, it's not anything else. That I'm willing to give it a go and see if it helps me. And like you said, it doesn't need to be creative things. It can be systems, problem solving, agents, call center people, email responding. It can be anything. Like the only thing limiting this is just creativity, man. You know, it's like given the blank page of what an agent can be, what would you think? And a business owner will tell you a whole list of things, and a startup entrepreneur won't have considered all those things yet and how valuable they could be to their business. So guiding them there could be another big service, consultative, you know, like this is what your agent should do and what we'll charge. You know, you'll end up paying $100,000 for this role soon or something like that, whatever it is.
Yeah, I've just seen one of the comments like a few steps back, this Sergey said, which made me laugh whilst you were talking then. I do think that's interesting. You know, I think when AI starts replacing human faces and human voices, some companies will start promoting the non-use of AI.
Yes, definitely they will.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, like the agency world has experienced that for a long time. It's like, we don't have middle management. We don't have all the dross interpolation of, you know, essentially virtual post boxes of human beings. That's like been a sales pitch for some time for lean teams and lean operations. I think you're right, Sergey. I think there will be like an obvious arbitrage where some people sell on the back that we are carbon first. We are humans, not, you know, CPUs or GPUs. But I don't know. I guess a blend of the two is always going to yield better results. I think it's fair to say. And
selling to humans, it will, because humans need to hear human stories. And so if a human's in the loop, they can obviously guide it to other humans better. You know, it's not an AI trying to sell to AIs, it's AI trying to sell to humans. So it is always, you know, essentially going to be better with us, at least guiding it or, you know, whatever. But yeah, it's really wild to think about, isn't it? Like all of this stuff, it gets me every time. I'm like, where are we going? You know, where is 2 years going to be like? You know, the rumor is that OpenAI is going to start charging $20,000 a month for an agent, you know, very soon. That's the rumor. And how valuable will businesses find that PhD level or above student, and how will they apply it in order to get their return on investment, in order to make it make sense? You know, because think about that, like 12 months a year of 20 grand a month, that's way more than your average highest paid like worker usually, unless it's the CEO probably in themselves, in which case they steer the entire company, you know, like they are like overlooking everything. So if an agent can't do that, then will it be worth $20,000 a month? And these are the things we got to ask ourselves. But you said, you know, when we met up last time, that you can do things for $2,000 a month that would be incredibly valuable to small businesses, and they don't this enterprise level OpenAI solution that's going to launch, because let's be honest, it is going to be aimed at enterprise. You know, smaller businesses aren't going to ever afford 20 grand a month, however much they want that intelligence. They're just not going to be able to. So it's like, unless they fundraise or something like that and justify it that way, I still think many others will work in the open source, work in the other ways, work in the comfy ways, provide smarter, cheaper, more unique solutions. And as you say, you know, the human commodity, this might apply to the AIs too. If everyone's using OpenAI, then you're going to try and use a lesser one, because then it'll look like everybody else is, you know. It's not that great to use the one that everyone else uses. It's actually, in marketing, going against the grain is the best thing you can do. If you look like everybody else's action figure, you're not standing out, brother. You've got to do something like Glenn, do something actually reactive and passing the baton and better than what was everybody else's out there. Like, cloning will never get you to win. If you're listening and cloning, it's not fun. I know, because it's not creative. You know, I've tried it. It's boring. It's more creative to do your own things. Oh, so on that note, if you need to drop out, mate, while I'm watching some of these other videos, just let me know. We're going to watch some more of the community submissions before we get to our special guest dropping in 15 minutes to give us a breakdown of how he made his award-winning animation, which is so cool. I'm so happy.
I'm going to be tuning in from afar. I've got to jump onto something else just now, but appreciate you, Ranch. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, man.
Thank you all.
Appreciate you dropping in, bro. So let's start watching some more stuff. We'll start with this one, and it's from PJ Ace. This is his Kling 2.0 generations. So more tests. Let's see how we're looking.
For thousands of years, we roamed the land, hunting, surviving. And when the day was done, we sat by the fire and spoke. We passed down memory. We found our purpose telling stories. But when we learned to work the land began to work us. We became laborers, building great monuments, temples, and cities, all while the fires dimmed and the time to speak grew scarce. Then, everything changed. In a single lifetime, we leapt from light bulbs to supercomputers. Machines took over our labor, and now they're automating our information. And for the first time, we're not sure what comes next. Where will we find meaning? Perhaps it's time to rediscover who we've always been. Storytellers.
Wow, that actually worked as a perfect segue. I didn't realize how good that was going to be. Chris has had to leave us now. Thank you so much, Chris, for tuning in. Hopefully we'll get you on in future episodes as well. My local legend, Chris. Yeah, guys, it's mad times, really. I'm going to start reading back through a lot of your conversations that I missed when I was having a chat with my buddy, Chris. Just while we wait for Hal to join us. In the future, I don't think anyone will care if AI is used. It moves them and resonates. That's all about the idea. Couldn't agree with that one more, Glenn. Ideation is everything. We need to be sort of protective of this as creatives now, because in the past, owning an agency, you know, pitching ideas to people was often executed internally by other creators when we didn't have AI. And we need to be, you know, quite thinking about the ideas. You know, the ideas are the thing that matters these days. So we need to be very smart in the way that we pitch this. If you're working as an agency or something like this, to the people we're working with, really it's the idea that you can have constantly good ideas and brand match. And this is the thing that having an advertising background like Glenn and Eric and others will make so much more useful in this AI space. Because if you don't have this understanding about brands and, you know, brand ethics and brand guidelines and all of this stuff, then you're going to find it very difficult, essentially, in this era to be able to start creating stuff that brands want. But yeah, if you do have all of that understanding, then obviously you will have a better idea of what can be generated and not. But yeah, let me have another look and see what we've got to showcase from the community. This one is from Simon Meyer.
I'd like to be a vegetarian. It affects my health, but yeah, I do feel better when I eat it.
We need the meat because of our brains. Those things that are coming from the meat is helping the brains.
I can imagine being a vegetarian probably for 1 week, but it's very difficult to be a vegetarian for the rest of my life.
It really gives me a strength. When I don't eat it, I feel weak, a bit weak.
With the meat, I can make a very good sauce. I have tried a plant-based, but I don't like the taste, no.
It's weird to imagine like a vegetable taco is weird.
I feel like meat is just such a normal thing to eat, so you just do it without thinking about it.
We are carnivores. From the Stone Age, we have been eating whatever was available.
Look in the nature. Do you ask a lion, is it allowed for you to eat an antelope? Is it okay?
I think it's okay to kill them. If we don't kill them, it's going to be too much of them.
Talking about the idea being everything, I thought that was a brilliant piece of content. I could see that many of you have already seen that. Very creative, and it was just so well done, you know, taking real world street interviews and then adding like the idea of them being aliens, and, you know, it's brilliant. Like, just so clever, such a creative idea. It reminded me a lot of the Neuroviz, who we've been featuring, you know, who's created an entire universe based on his characters, and he's the most featured person week to week. Just a really clever piece of content. Just absolutely loved it. For those of you not aware of Neuroviz, I wonder if I can pull up something and show you, because I can definitely see there's some new people watching this week. Although we have got repeat stuff. We have the Door Brothers. Probably I'm going to close out on the Door Brothers after we've had Hal, because Hal is a brilliant storyteller and has told a lovely piece of animated content. But the Door Brothers can be a little bit controversial, let's put it that way. Yeah, absolutely fantastic, wasn't it, Glenn? Really loved that. Just a really cool piece of content. Let's watch a bit of Neuroviz and Bobo. For those of you that don't know, this is my favorite AI creator.
Bobo Fugsnuck here. A lot of you have been asking me about my morning routine, so here it is. It's my new teeth. Snort-worthy smile, if you ask me. So I like to start my morning by waking up at 2 in the afternoon, get a quick lift, lick, and lurk in before I go off and spend the next several hours in the woods. And this time is mainly for my freeform lurks. I just lurk like no one's watching. Then I head into town to do some casual creeping. I mean, I'm freaking everyone out because I'm getting in my squirms. But you gotta squirm to stay firm. I forget what I'm doing for the next 3 days and get an office job that I absolutely hate. Spend most of my time hiding in the storage closet, but all my coworkers know I'm in there. The next 26 hours I'm purposefully unconscious, come to so I can try on some tuxes because I'm getting married. Love to Ragnora. I'll practice my funeral for 30 minutes, at which point I gotta pretend to listen to someone tell me about a dream they have, but I'm really just thinking about what I'm gonna say. Then, and this is important, I'll just wait, eerily, for hours. What am I waiting for? A big heap of nothing. I wait to wait. I'll spend 2 minutes trying to create fire with my mind, giving me just enough time for a last lurk before the day begins. That's the Bobo way.
That's the Bobo way, folks. And that's just one of his many characters that he's created. Squirm to stay firm, Glenn. I love so much. You should see me in the green room every time I'm watching one of those. It's genuinely like just, it's like I'm watching an episode of South Park or something like that. It really is that immersive, that funny. Now, he has said that he is entirely writing those scripts human-made and that he doesn't find that AI is very good at the script writing stuff and original thought, original ideas, and original comedy. And I very much agree with him there. Actually, I think the visuals that he's using it for, the Runway Gen 1 sort of lip syncing and the Hydra lip syncing and all of that, that is the best way for him to infuse AI into his workflow and mean that he doesn't need to rely on so many other people. He can write the script, feed it, and generate the visuals and edit it together himself and produce something as amazing and funny and entertaining as that. And that's just one of his, like, you know, smaller episodes. He usually has like a Joe Rogan style podcast interview thing with a character named Tiggy. And yeah, it's just so good. Like, the whole show is absolutely brilliantly made, and I can't give that guy enough credits. Yeah. In the meantime, whilst we're waiting for Hal, let's have a look what else we've got to watch this week. I don't want to obviously spoil Hal's stuff. I want him to come and introduce himself and talk about it first. So we're going to hold on to that and see what else we've got to watch. Ooh, I did remember that we had this one. Let's watch this one. I haven't actually remembered who this was, so hopefully they've added their credits to the video, and let's see what it is. Amazing. I definitely should have showed that one earlier when I was talking about Kling 2.0, but what an incredible demo reel. Like, obviously there were handles at the bottom there where individual Kling users had obviously been selected in order to showcase. I'm assuming that they had early access. A friend of ours, Tim from Theoretically Media, he definitely had early access, because I asked him, like, how the hell did he drop a Kling 2.0 demo video like hours after the launch? And obviously because he's part of the CPP, the Creative Partnership Program, then he could have early access and be able to make stuff ahead of time. And yeah, if you're working with these tools and you are a creator, definitely look for these creative partner programs, because nearly every single one of them now is involving people in some way. You can be a social media creator, you can be someone like me who's like a community manager, you can be a filmmaker, an advertising expert, and you can all apply and get granted access to the creative partner programs. And that means that you might not necessarily have to spend hundreds of dollars generating your ideas. You might even be able to do them for free if you are willing to promote the tools that you're using and things like this. And it's very good that these tools have started to do this now, actually, is open up this to actual creators to apply and see if they can be granted free access to the tools. Very useful. Let's see what else we've got to show you this week before Hal joins in. We had a very awesome piece done by Jeff Synthesized, who is somebody that we've watched a long time ago. He's somebody ongoing that we watch, and so this is a very long piece, 3 minutes and 15, but it's very dramatic and it's very well done. So let's have a look at like this cinematic music video. It's sort of like meant to be a music video, but it's obviously made very cinematic, and those two things are my favorite like combination of things, as well as the music being very much to my taste. So this is the future of music videos. We've seen a lot of it earlier with the Runway 1 minute generations. Let's see what Jeff's up to. Wow, that was awesome. So nicely done. I really like that piece of work. And yes, I know that someone else, I think Steve, yeah, beautifully crisp sound. I think he's called Jeff Synthesize for a reason, Steve. Like, I believe that he comes from an audio engineering background like myself. So I really appreciate the sound design as well. Every single samurai pull, every single thing blended so beautifully with a background of actual music to make it a music video. Like, I've always appreciated the sound design elements when it comes to generative AI and how you can implement those. And if your background is in sound design, audio engineering, music production, then you should just like blend those skills into the AI visuals that you can now create. And yes, Glenn, it is truly insane that one guy made an official music video in collaboration with Photech, which is a fairly well-known musician. You know, this is no slouch. That's a real music video for a really big drum and bass artist, and so cool. Question here about how to keep the faces same in multiple shots. Well, the answer to that, Mohammed, is it's very difficult in text to video unless you're asking for a famous person, which is trained into the text to video model. But you can sort of do that in an image to video workflow. It's not always perfect. As we've seen, there's nuances and little slight differences that you can see, but they're getting stronger and stronger. And 2.0 of Kling is probably the strongest yet, with continuation of faces and styles and transfer correctly, smooth motion applied, physics understanding. All of these things are becoming very, very possible right now. And yes, it does sound like a song from Massive Attack album, Sergey. That is an absolutely fantastic reference right there. It kind of reminded me a bit of like Radiohead meets Bonobo meets Aphex Twin meets like loads of like, you know, iconic sort of underground drum and bass references. Hey, we've got Hal jumping into the green room as well. Let's go. Let's bring him up on the stage and congratulate him. First of all, Hal.
Hello, mates.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm still reeling. I'm still coming to terms with it, but thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, I bet you are, man. You had to stay up late because we were both in the UK and I was like messaging you at like close to midnight last night. You know, it's crazy. Just what a win, man. And like I said, thoroughly well deserved. I thought the judging was brilliant, and the overall, you know, thing that you made is just amazing. And I'm so glad you could hop in like next day onto the stream and be able to, you know,
thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
yeah,
you're so welcome.
Not much sleep has been had.
I bet, and you've been working all day too, right? So you're just joining us, right? So it's never end grind for the people at the best of the best. That's what I always say. And so I always appreciate anyone hopping into the stream, because I know, you know, Dave's joined himself, you know, the one that was judging last night, and others. Yeah. But they're incredibly busy people, you know, now got tons of money now like from A16Z, and they're, you know, making projects, and everyone's got, you know, stuff to do. So really appreciate you joining on next day.
No problem at all.
Now tell me and my co-founder have done many of the Runway Gen 48 and other competition entries. We know how stressful it can be. Like, what was the, you know, start time, date, and idea for all of this project, and when did it sort of occur to you, and what was the process there?
Well, actually, I started it. I saw this, the idea came to me. I was walking to work and I saw this girl like dancing for, well, not dancing for, but like dancing in front of her boyfriend. And he was just kind of on his phone. And I was listening to this track and I just kind of connected the two things. And I thought of the idea then. And I did, this was back when Kling 1.6 came out.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I thought at the time I wanted to do like a kind of noir, black and white, quite arty piece, and I spent a couple of weeks on it in the evening trying to get it to work, but it just couldn't do it really. It couldn't do it justice. And I got halfway through and I thought, this would be a really good animation and work much better. But at that point, I'd already poured so many hours into it. I was like, as to start again, I was like, I don't know if I can do that. I haven't got it in me. So I kind of went off and did other stuff.
Yeah.
And then, the Curious Refuge advert popped up on my socials.
Oh, you were given an ad. Were you aware of Curious Refuge before of that?
I was.
Oh,
I'm a
great.
huge fan of Curious Refuge. In
Oh,
fact,
amazing.
Curious Refuge, and I don't know if you know Theoretically Media.
Yeah.
They
Tim.
basically, Tim, exactly. Yeah, they kind of taught me everything. Certainly in the early stages, everything I knew. So yeah, I owe a lot to Curious Refuge and Tim.
Oh, fantastic. So you've been through and taken one of their courses, and yeah, Tim's a friend of the podcast as well. We met up in San Fran at the Adobe AI.
Okay.
Yeah, so finally got to put some names to faces. You know, as a Brit, it was so hard to justify the San Fran trip. I had to go to New York to San Fran, and you know, it was crazy. Yeah, so I know I'm very lucky to have met these.
You've been out there and mingling, rubbing shoulders with the big guys.
Yeah, honestly, like, it's such a brilliant thing to hear, because it's so true with what we had and have experienced too. First of all, Paul Trillo, I don't know if you're aware of him.
Yeah, I know him very well. Yeah,
amazing creative director.
Brilliant.
He's behind the scenes about the non-linear process with AI and the iterative stages and the things that you try and fail and then just completely pivot mid-project. You know, this is a very common occurrence. We were doing a 10-minute scene for a Runway AIFF entry, and it was being paid for by Coca-Cola. And in the middle of it, lip sync dropped. And it was a dialogue scene. So we'd done voiceovers because no such lip sync thing existed really at that time. So then mid-project, we had to pivot and redo the entire scene for scene with moving lips. And this was even before you had emotive expressions. You know, it was just quite literally the lips moving and no face that like went along. So we were like, is it worth it yet? You know, like, we're not fully there. It's not that immersive, but it will give it something extra. And we got shortlisted again just because we went that extra mile and pivoted mid-project. And it was a hell of a lot to do with our client work and everything else we were doing in our creative agency. Wow. But fascinating that you say 1.6 and then figuring, you know, oh, what about a different style? What about, you know, because animation's much more forgiving, as we know.
Absolutely,
than other styles,
right? I mean, you know, I think the thing that I did originally with the 1.6 was it was much more of a voiceover narrative. You know, there was no speaking, which I think was everyone had to do in the early days. And then pretty much. And then I did a couple of things with Hedra or Hedra. I never know how you pronounce it.
Oh, we had the Hedra CEO come on 2 weeks ago.
Did you? Actually, I chatted to him via Discord because I was having trouble with this, and he contacted me directly, and so I was talking to him for a while. And he's a really nice guy. I mean, just, you know.
I literally sent him an action figure that said the nicest guy in AI on it. Because I started the action figure trend, and I sent him like Legends of like AI Founders series. He is the nicest guy. And Neuroviz, who I don't know if you've come across this guy's content. We just watched it just before you came on. I can rewatch it and show you if you like.
I'd be really interested.
The greatest story here, and you'll like this as a director and as an editor and everything. Like, Michael tells me, the Hedra founder, that this guy started his requirement for a creative partner program because quite literally he is a no face. His name is Neuroviz, but that's just his online handle. You know, nobody actually knows who he is. Therefore, he could be anyone. And he is soloing it through YouTube, through X, through Patreon, and making a really good director fan actual money. Like, he's completely like gone by the legacy systems of you need funding and agencies and partners and all of this, and he's soloing it, and he's every character, he is everything. But the thing that we discussed right before is he's a script writer like Dave. You know, he's classically trained in filmmaking, and so he doesn't feel like AI can help him much with the script writing and jokes and comedy, but he really likes it for the visuals and lip syncing and video to video face transfer and other elements that he's adopted into his thing. So I know other people that are excited to watch Hal's piece. Let's just rewatch for Hal, you know, the amazing work and appreciate this guy. So this is one of his episodes. Hal, he's created a universe. It's all alien characters. He's every single character. This particular character is called Bobo, and it kind of just is a behind the scenes of who Bobo is and how he works in the universe. But remember that this is video to video, and that he's like, recorded all of this solo to camera. It's hilarious. Let's watch it.
Bobo Fugsnuck here. A lot of you have been asking me about my morning routine, so here it is. It's my new teeth. Snort-worthy smile, if you ask me. So I like to start my morning by waking up at 2 in the afternoon, get a quick lift, lick, and lurk in before I go off and spend the next several hours in the woods. And this time is mainly for my freeform lurks. I just lurk like no one's watching. Then I head into town to do some casual creeping. I mean, I'm freaking everyone out because I'm getting in my squirms. But you gotta squirm to stay firm. I forget what I'm doing for the next 3 days and get an office job that I absolutely hate. Spend most of my time hiding in the storage closet, but all my coworkers know I'm in there. The next 26 hours I'm purposefully unconscious. Come to so I can try on some tuxes because I'm getting married. Love to Ragnora. I'll practice my funeral for 30 minutes, at which point I gotta pretend to listen to someone tell me about a dream they had, but I'm really just thinking about what I'm gonna say. Then, and this is important, I'll just wait, eerily, for hours. What am I waiting for? A big heap of nothing. I wait to wait. I'll spend 2 minutes trying to create fire with my mind, giving me just enough time for a last lurk before the day begins. That's the Bobo way.
How brilliant!
So hilarious. That was. I wasn't prepared for that.
Trust me, Hal. Right now, what I love about that so much is that I didn't even contextualize the fact that in his universe he accidentally discovered that if he does things, he can work out and get big. So he because one of the episodes was they wanted to discover what the humans, they can't even pronounce humans correctly. And they're like looking at us as a species and going, what's this nuffle thing? And the thing, they like the NFL. Oh, it's about a Super Bowl or something like that. Oh, how do you be successful in that? Oh, you have to go unconscious. You need to knock yourself out in order to be successful at the nuffle. And so he accidentally started knocking himself out, and then he started getting big, and now he's a gym guy. And it's like a bad thing in his society. Everyone praises the monolith, and yet this guy accidentally got buff, and now he's telling his story. It's just, but it works as a content. It's that engaging and funny that I don't even need to tell you what the context of that piece of content was about. It's just
it was almost better not knowing the context and just being some random weird sequence of events. I mean,
content,
I've not seen. That's the one thing I always feel is missing from AI a bit is humor. Everything's quite serious, and that is just hilarious.
Bring back silly. I've been saying it from the start. There's no need to greenlight the money and the budgets and the ideas. One of the ongoing things with my co-host Andrew is, that silly pub conversation you had on a Friday. You could have made it by Monday. You could have actually made it. There's no excuses anymore. There's no, I have to convince people this is a good idea. There's no person I need to go and ask for money. It's no, if you've got the free time, go and make it. And if people like it, they get attracted to it and do more of it. But the purpose of doing it is let's say you want to work in music video creation and you want to get the attention of a hip hop artist. Just start making some music videos, see what you can do. And that's why I loved your piece so much, honestly. I was looking at it going, as you said, you thought others were sure bet to win this, what was it called? The Cursed Cat.
I mean, they've been pitching that all week. I was convinced that, and I actually was speaking to the guy via Instagram, because it was a bit delayed. So we were actually talking because he commented on one of my posts, and he's a really nice guy. And so we were already talking, and just I was just convinced.
That's awesome.
Him.
I was sort of convinced too, because it was going viral in my feed, in LinkedIn. I was seeing it more and more reshared by other people. And so I thought, oh, that might influence it somehow. And I'm glad it didn't. In hindsight, I think all of this stuff should be obfuscated from social media presence and how it performs online. It's art. you know. And I'm really glad I said, like, Dave was the judge of this, because his work was the first one that brought me to tears. I hadn't seen AI content that actually moved me before, and yet he was able to with his battalion piece. It was quite,
yeah, that was amazing. I remember that.
Yeah, really shocking. And I had like personal experience references. You know, my mum and dad were both in the RAF, so I had like, you know, the idea of what someone with PTSD might be experiencing, and it all hit home. You know, I was just watching it, and I even provided some music for it. He asked me to like add some stuff. Yeah, and yeah, and since that day, I was like, wow, this is it. You know, like humans using AI to tell stories that we haven't heard before from all sorts of new voices. This is it. This is it. It felt like.
I mean, I think that is the most exciting. I think as many people should be creative as possible, because it makes people feel good when you're being creative. It's just the best feeling.
Absolutely.
And also it inspires other things in other people. You know, it's like that's kind of what it's all about, isn't it?
Glenn wants a t-shirt. That's the Bobo way. That's hilarious. So do I. No, I want a t-shirt. That's the Bobo. Again, if you're a solo and you can sell merch and that funds you on your YouTube career, like, so be it. You know, like,
absolutely.
Brilliant solution there, Glenn. You know, we've talked about this a lot, and I hope that I've got a high enough quality. I didn't ask you in advance how to send me like a, you know, an upscaled version. So I've got the Vimeo. Hopefully it plays at the quality, because it was beautiful when I was watching it through the YouTube premiere. Obviously you'd sent a high quality version to the Curious Refuge guys, because it streamed so nice, and I love the format. You know, the back-to-back, and then the judges in between giving their ideas. Me and Andrew made this whole series like that. It's like we call it the compliment sandwich. You know, something we love, something to work on, and something we love to finish with, so that they have this like positive like takeaway from it. So like comments from our audience will come through with this sort of tonality, because it's the sort of thing that we've implemented. And that's the whole idea, is amazing people just drop in week to week, tell us a bit about the story of how they made things. Then we watch it and get live feedback from the audience, kind of like a radio show. And so I'll feature comments on the screen probably during the piece now. And do you want to just, you know, tell us about the title, or do you want to just have the experience, you know, like just drop it on them? And, you know, you alluded to it a little bit about, you know, how you came to the initial idea, but not too much more. How do you want to do this?
I mean, I'm happy to introduce it. Yeah, I mean, it's called Late. And, you know, I very much associated with the protagonist, particularly doing this actual film, you know. I think that we can all relate to that moment when you're deciding between your social life and your work life, and, you know, getting that balance right is key. So it meant a lot to me when I was making it.
I mean, I think that deep connection you can have with a piece of art like this is truly why it's worth it. You know, like, the tools may advance, you may not win, but the fact that you were passionate about making it, and that it, as you said, it's fun to be creative. Like, it makes you passionate. Like, other parts of your life can be infused with that passion because of the things that you're now practicing. Many of the people that are watching right now are in the very same boat, you know. And I said earlier, before you joined, they're of all age ranges. Some have got 30 years advertising experience. Some are like, you know, directors, some are filmmakers, so they're social media people. They're all sorts of different backgrounds and industries, and everyone's uniting over this new freedom of creativity, and ideation being everything, and execution coming back instantly to us with our ideas. And it's fascinating, isn't it? Like, the times we live in. Kling 2.0 drops like 2 days ago. It was like they were already number one, and now they're further number one. And like, it's just about the costs, you know. Hopefully that comes down a bit to make more ambitious projects, you know, more viable, because it is still going to be in the thousands of dollars otherwise to make anything.
It's pricey, I mean, I've literally only generated two shots with it since it came out, and I was like,
what did you use for this then? What were you using as the main stack?
1.6 and VO.
Wow, okay.
Were
you using VO via Krea or a free pick or direct?
Through free pick.
Awesome.
I love free pick. But yeah, I was mainly Kling. I mean, I think Kling is my best friend, really, you know, because some of the other stuff I do is pretty weird and surreal, and just I always found that Kling's the only one that really kind of goes there and maintains just enough coherence for it to look realistic, but not enough that it like tries to make it too. Yeah,
that was our big hang up with others too, is the style match, the style reference is not true to it, you know, like we even launched like a service for Mid-Journey style references because we just love them so much. Where you can like subscribe to a newsletter and just get, you know, given hundreds a week. And some of the noir stuff, and, you know, like you said, it's like incredible what you can do with that. But others just weren't translating it to the video model, were they? They were just not taking like your initial like color palettes true to colors and stuff like this. You know what's really exciting though? We've been testing some hex match tools. These are not available publicly yet, but you can feed in hex colors and really properly, like, you can even give it like an image reference of say 6 hex colors on a white background, 6 different tones, and have them like as a color grading added to your AI video. So really exciting stuff coming. I can't say too much because we're on an NDA about who it is or where it's coming from, but know that that's in the pipeline. You know,
that'd be great. I mean, that's a lot. That's the reason a lot of the time why I use black and white in my stuff is because it's easier to get that consistency because you're not having to get that grade.
Problem solving.
Yeah,
it's problem solving, isn't it? It's like Rory, who's a good friend of the podcast. He's always said that I'm like working around the limitations, and so black and white is often his default too, you know, because of the, you know, the not exact color matching and losing the immersion because of the, you know, generations. Anyway, let's watch your piece. I'm super excited. Thank you so much again for coming on.
No worries.
Let's feature some comments as it comes up.
Cool.
Hi, it's me.
What's going on? Are you okay?
Yeah. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna be late again.
You promised me.
I know. I'm really sorry. But I'll make it up to you. I was thinking I could take you to that place, you know, the one with the flowers. Hello? I'm sorry.
I know how you feel. I was once married, believe it or not.
All right, good for you.
She was a dancer, and she was beautiful.
Fascinating. Anyway,
I was a painter, you see. And we used to live in this tiny apartment downtown. I thought I was going to change the world with a paintbrush, chasing some masterpiece that I could never grasp.
Look, I don't want to be rude here, but...
She used to dance in this little theater in town, and then every night she'd come home to me, and even though she was tired, she'd dance for me again. No music, just her. The sound of her breath and the creak of those floorboards. She didn't want much, just for me to watch her. But I never did. I was too wrapped up in my own head, chasing some idea, trying to find a missing piece. And she was just another distraction. I was convinced that when I finally painted that perfect picture, then she would understand. But I just couldn't do it.
Let me guess, she divorced you.
It was her birthday. She asked me for just one thing. To come to that little theater in town and watch her dance. So, there I am, sitting in this theater in the dark. But all I can think about is getting back home. Getting back to my painting, to my masterpiece.
Please tell me you didn't leave.
No, the spotlight snapped on. And there she was. My dancer. I could feel all the eyes around me drinking in the beauty of her form. And then she started to dance. And for the first time, I watched. Every movement a revelation. Every step a quiet, effortless perfection. And I finally got it. And it was beautiful. The curtain closed, the crowd exploded, everybody's cheering. But all I could hear was the beating of my heart. I ran backstage and I wanted to tell her everything, tell her how I felt. I flew down the hallway and I burst into her room and I found her gone, never to return.
I'm so sorry.
On the desk was just a single note. It said, I danced for you every night. I thought that I was going to do something great, but the only real reason that I am here was just to witness all of the beauty of the person I loved.
I cannot thank you enough. I have to go home before it's too late.
Wow. I had goosebumps. I've watched it 3-4 times already, and I still had goosebumps watching it a 5th time.
Thank you, Chris.
And I think the audience is about 1.5 minutes delayed, Hal. So we'll start to see more comments coming in. They're sort of still watching the closing moments of this right now, and the beauty and gracefulness of the transitions that you achieved. Honestly, just kudos to that, first of all. I know. Oh, look, we've got tears. Mean, it was a real heart-wrenching, beautifully told story.
So
and
kind.
Oh man,
yeah, I mean, it was as you know, it's so difficult to get 2 characters in the same shot and just to get them to interact. And so I was very keen.
I really do personally know how difficult that is, and to keep them continuously not morphing and doing strange things and that. What's the ratio? What were your ratio of wins to losses in the 2?
Well, so I mean, that was a phenomenal amount of work. I mean, I did it in 2 weeks. Wow. And I'm freelance, so I had a week off for the first week. And I poured in well over 150 hours into it.
Oh my God, look at all of this. Sorry to interrupt. That was the best pieces I've ever seen. Brilliant. Awesome. Congratulations. The art is so emotional. Well done. Be proud. You're absolutely right with be proud. Taking a week off to do that and then even doing it on top of your job. This is the sort of thing I'm talking about. That is a spotlightable
That's
thing.
So kind.
It's incredible. I mean, you must have been emotionally driven, like you said, to do this. You were in the story. You had a reason. You could tell. You could tell that was something that was sparked from a real life experience.
I think when you get a moment, I mean, the first thing I always do is lay out the dialogue and the music with no pictures, just to time it and know what I'm going. And even then, I was like, I feel like there's something here.
Yep.
And so I was excited already at the start. So I think that always helps when you know you've got something exciting. It draws you on to kind of get it done,
doesn't it? It motivates you. And this is what I'm saying about client work and other things. We've been at those creative tables where the best ideas get shut down because they're not monetizable. We've been there. Yeah. We've literally seen those things just disappear into the night. and they're like lost dreams on, you know, great ideas. And now it's like, well, if you really truly believe in that idea, go and do it. You know, go and do it in your spare time, and you don't know what it's going to lead to. You've just won $10,000, and
I haven't even thought of that aspect of it. I mean,
it's truly amazing. And like, I know, and that the popularity of this stuff is going to hit the mainstream, and that's actually perfect. You know, the amount of exposure that Curious Refuge has, so that there's not millions of entrants, so it is viable to win that money. And this is a golden era. This is the golden era for that, you know. I've seen AWS sponsored competitions, you know, they're going to get bigger. It's going to get larger. The prizes, it's going to become more mainstream. But right now we're in a sort of golden era for filmmaking and creative stuff. It's brilliant. It's
it really feels like, I mean, I get excited just going through Instagram and stuff and seeing smaller creators, and they're just, you know, they've come across an idea that no one's discovered yet, because there's still stuff out there that people are discovering, you know, like certain trigger words and Kling that, you know, that give you different like results that you just haven't got before. And it's exciting. And everyone that's created stuff that I've spoken to is so supportive and kind and wants to share and wants to, you know.
I love the community. That's what I said. Everyone from different backgrounds, all supportive. You know, there's lots of negativity in the press about AI displacing jobs, and we're trying to show about the creative potential, the new voices that can be heard, that all of the good side. And so it's a hard battle though, honestly, because the mainstream press is doing such a good job at, you know, scaremongering, honestly, and bait tactics, and it's very infuriating. But the little communities like Curious Refuge, like Promise, like all of these other people that we've started to network with now, it feels like what a, you know, inspiring hub of individuals that are all willing to support other creators. And like you said, you even reached out to other entrants. Like same happened with us with Runway. We ended up even collaborating with the team in Brighton where you are, like on the Cola project.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so all because we both entered Runway, we were both shortlisted, we were both UK in the same time zone. It made sense. We appreciated each other's work, reached out on LinkedIn, same as Instagram, you know, just a different medium.
Well, and, I mean, you know, creation should be a collaboration, I think. And I think that's kind of what's a bit weird about this kind of doing it solo. You know, it's a very solo enterprise, and it's a bit weird, you know, like especially with this, you know, I was kind of like just hermit down in the dark all night, all day, just like pouring hours, and then you release it on the world, and you're like, am I mad?
It's the artist struggle. It's like you want to be like, I come from a music background, sound engineering, audio engineering, and so in music it is very collaborative, you know, like the whole community structure is bands and DJs and collaborations and back-to-backs and all of this stuff. And then other places that I've been involved in more recently, like art and advertising, and they're less collaborative, you know. And so I'm like, oh, I want to bring the music infusion of collaboration into the AI. And the strange thing I've noticed is I did a master's degree in audio engineering, and everyone's a technician there because digital audio workstations, the DAW, Logic Pro, Reason, Ableton, these tools, they were like our way of creation of music. So we were all very used to sort of like software and technology. And so that really helps in the AI and prompting and all of this stuff. Whereas artists that are, you know, maybe physically hand painting or drawing, they don't realize that the sketch to image is so amazing that because they don't like the technology side, so they're not willing to try it. And so they're less, you know, and then they see the headlines and that puts them off further, and they take a stance, kind of like politics, you know. It's like you're left or right, or it's like no one's in the middle, and it's all so polarizing. And it's so, I don't know why. I really don't know why that is the case. I
think it's just fear, you know, it's fear of becoming obsolete, isn't it? You know, it's that fear
fear of change, fear of lots of change.
I mean, that's why I came to AI originally, like a year and a half ago, is because I just didn't know anything about it, and I was kind of scared of it. And I, you know,
fascinating.
I'm now so optimistic about it because It's
that's
amazing.
That's such a brilliant. Please tell us more about this story, because many people will fear it before trying it, and that's the thing, is they come from, you're a BAFTA award-winning editor, like I think I've trained lots of the legacy industry, I've trained lots of the advertising industry, and the bigger they are, the more enterprise, the more fear. So it's like because of the adoption of new technology, and they're high paying clients and messing things up, and lots of losses. So I love it when people say, like, your fear was to try it, and then you loved it so much, and now you're excited about it. That's my exact same experience. We're a graphic design offline agency, same thing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, a lot of people are going to be able to create stuff, and that is a good thing. I think there's going to be so many more opportunities. I don't think it's going to limit jobs. I think, certain jobs will disappear, but far more jobs will replace them. And I think it's a wonderful thing, because there's not really anything else like it. That's entered this realm of media. I've never, in the time I've done it, nothing has really happened like this before.
No.
And I think what it's going to do is alleviate all that mundanity in creation. As an editor, me and the director, we put the script up on the board and we go, great, this is going to be a great movie. And then you turn around, you've got hours and hours of collating and finding the rushes and putting them all down, and it's so soul destroying. And then when you actually get to the bit where you edit, that's so exciting. So
and that's your that bit. It's going back to, that's so funny you should say that, because social media, I'll tell you the equivalent is, we all look through stock libraries 30 hours a week. We're all looking through video stock libraries, image stock libraries, and that was the previous. We're not doing social media. We are doing stock library searches like Google. And that's not fun, creative, or it's draining and boring and frustrating.
And it kills your idea.
It kills it dead, because you don't find what you want after all that searching. And it's like, well, that whole creative enthusiasm I came in with is now petered up and dried up. And so as you said, cut out the fat, the jokes, get to the punchline, get to the meat of things, and don't, and add your tags, add your spins, add your little things, I'll tell you crazy. Yeah,
be in the zone. That bit when you're really in that zone and you get that flow. There's nothing worse than being dragged out of it because you've got to do some kind of creative admin. So if we can all be in that area of creation more, then that's only good for everyone.
It feels like we are in the real world, real time generative. You mentioned VO2 and 1.6. 1.6 can be a bit longer to wait, sometimes the queue is 10, 12 minutes, I've noticed. But on a good day, VO2 can get it done in 90 seconds to 120 seconds. So, if you're queuing up 3 or 4, by the time you've finished that, then you're watching the first one and you're selecting your clip and pulling it into your editor.
I love that, by the way. I mean, I don't know if you remember developing film. My family we had a lot of photographers, and there was that excitement of developing a film. I get that now with it. When you get a really good image that you're like, this is going to look banging if it does what I want it to, and you put it in and you give it the prompt, and then you set it off and you set some more, and then you're waiting, and then it pops up and you're like, oh, that's fucking dope.
Do you still get goosebumps? Because when I see ones where the physics is, I'm like, how did that footprint actually make a footprint? How it blows my mind still, because we've been through it all, Disco Diffusion 3 years ago, where it was pixels on a screen and it looked like random noise. It literally looked like noise, and it was so, as you said, nothing in our lifetime. And I've worked in the advertising industry for 15 years now. I've never seen anything, no MarTech, no anything, no SaaS platform has ever got me this excited or motivated to pursue. And someone said it the other day, they're the most human tools of all time, ironically, because they speak our language. And that's the thing that was always missing, is to manipulate Photoshop or something like Premiere Pro, you needed to be an expert software user, or talk code, or PHP or whatever it was that was designing a website. And then all of a sudden LLMs just were we speak your language now. So as long as you can elaborate through your prompt, and that's why I hate the word prompt engineering. I call it creative brief writing. It puts off so many art directors because they hear the word engineering and they're like, oh no, I need to learn engineering. I'm like, no. Imagine that you were talking to like a design director and you were just writing him a brief of what you want. Like imagine if you don't give him enough details, he won't return what you want. You'll have to get iterations. That's what's going to happen, right? I'm really explaining it like a human situation every time with this AI when I'm teaching it, and they're shocked by that. They don't think of it that way. It's like, as you said, when you write exactly what you want, you've generated your image and it's matched the style and the physics worked and the eyes moved right, and you were like, oh my God, it's there. How long would I have spent making that in Adobe Premiere Pro or After Effects before? Maybe a week, maybe a day. You don't really know. Depends on the complications of the generation that you managed to achieve, But it's a magical moment, as you say.
It still blows my mind. It still blows my mind. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah. And I mean, on this film, it was, I think that actually there's only 2 shots in the whole film that went straight from the generator into the timeline without any work being done on them, because
raw straight one prompts in and straight in. Wow.
Yeah, there was only 2. There's a gliding shot across the paintings, and then that city shot at the start before the transition. They went straight. Everything else.
That city shot. I like the archway transition even at the beginning where you sort of zoom in and then you're at the desk.
Glad, because that is what took the longest. That's actually 4 shots.
I found it. I found the pain point. I knew it. I thought was like, I bet he tried a lot of times to get that, because it was so smooth and beautiful, and because it was so early in the piece, it needed to keep you immersed. And
exactly, I knew I needed to connect the 2 characters right from the off.
Yes.
And so I had the idea of that shot, and then the actual physicality of getting it done, and the coming out of that shot of him wiping, and then him matching that to the wide of him wiping, and then that going to that through the doorway. He still had to be wiping, but obviously Kling couldn't handle it. He couldn't get him to wipe and then move through, and it was also, I had to
too many things.
So I had to do 4 separate stitch. That's one video, and then
and were you using, because it was 1.6, did you have middle and end frame, or were you just doing the one frame? Or
so I tried I tried everything. I mean, I tried end frame, I tried to do the end frame because I had obviously that shot of him in the office. I tried to do it, but just Kling kept not getting it, and so I couldn't get it done. So in the end, I had to just use its first frame and stitch the 2 together. But
non-linear problem solving, like Paul said, though, isn't it? Every time it's like, I've got this idea for a scene, and as Dave said, it's like, well, which tech does it best? Like some are good at physics, some are good at transitions, like Runway, and others because you got middle, end, last, and all of them have got. And then when 2.0 comes out, I always notice you can only add 1 frame. So there's no end frame possibility on the new one. And there's also limited aspect ratios and other limitations. And so when a client project requires that level of continuity of branding and all that other things, it's like, I can't control the end frame yet, client. And they see, all these latest things. And I'm like, you've got to wait though for the professional version to come out, like that's got all the bells and whistles and features of the other one. Like having to explain that to them alone is like kind of infuriating, but funny at the same time. Because it's every few weeks these days. It's like, God.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, staying on top of it is just sometimes feels like a full-time job, and that's why I lean heavily on Curious Refuge and people like that, because
that's why I built this community too. So now you're part
and people like you as well. I mean, you are that just takes so much weight off creators, because that is there's a tool out there that's going to do the thing that you want it to do. finding it can be so difficult. So places like this are perfect.
And expensive to try hundreds. That's the other thing.
Exactly.
It's like, you know, and you need to trust people's opinion, because the thing I've noticed, unfortunately, with a lot of YouTubers is that they're sponsored by the tools that they're talking about. So of course they're going to speak favorably about them being the best at whatever. And so, you know, we try to be the neutral ground for that as well, where it's true opinions like Curious Refuge. Yeah, it's like, we'll give you the best of the best. There's no need to give you anything else, you know, like we're not being influenced this way or that way by anyone to experience that.
No,
so,
it's a central service. It's brilliant.
It is, right? And like, I love that all the communities are aligning. I love that we can talk to LA and San Fran and New York and Canada and Australia, and people here earlier were saying they're from Brazil, South America, everywhere. You know, everyone's globally. That's why we try to do it later in the UK time zone, is because there's so many time zones at different places tuning in live to experience this. And I want them to, like, you know, leave the comments that we can go, oh, RenderNet's really good at the lip sync. I've got to try that one. You know, like, that's the sort of thing I want, is the discussion. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, week to week, you know, anytime that you're available on a Thursday and you want to drop in, just drop me a line, because I know, like I said, how busy everyone that's doing ambitious stuff is. And some will be away for months in South Korea or at an expo, and some will be, you know, everywhere. So, like, it's just any Thursday. Try and keep this like slot open, and anything you want to promote or, you know, you've made, and we'll feature it. And
you won't get with me, Chris.
I try. You know, I'm trying, like you said, it's the hectic pace of it all. Like, the motivation for me, I've never been so enthusiastic about something, because the story with my partner is interesting. She is a special needs teacher, and she's highly specialized in autism. And people that aren't able to verbally communicate their incredible minds so well. They're sort of like, you know, but the ability to interact with an LLM and bring their ideas to the wider. I'm so excited about, and that's what democratization means to me, you know, decentralization and democratization of creativity. It's like, it's going to let people who haven't been able to express themselves before because of money and budgets and people believing in them, and they'll just find a place on the internet. And if it's good and people get attracted to it, and you know, other people have been saying, by the way, you need to enter this into other competitions. I believe you are going to earn a lot more money from this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd love to. Yeah, I mean, I've not even looked at the practicalities of all that, but yeah, I mean, I'd absolutely.
I mean, it's a piece of done, beautifully made content, and
thank you, man.
There's loads now. You know, every year, 3 years we've been working on this since sort of Coca-Cola started our AI journey as a creative agency. They backed us to go into this.
Right.
We've noticed every summer there are a 10x increase in competitions, film festivals, and everything else. So, you know, what started in 2022 now was basically a handful of European film festivals with a small amount of prize money, and then it turned into 100, and then it turned into 1,000, and the next summer we're on for 10,000. And it's not slowing down. You know, it could be 100,000 the next year. It's really hard to predict it, because will this peak cinema again? Will this peak media again? Will we have new places for new content? I'm already seeing places like Escape.ai. Have you seen that website?
Nice.
Go and check that out after this call. You should submit your content to be featured there, Hal, because it's kind of like a Netflix with purely AI content.
Okay.
It's an amazing like online thing, and it's actually the guy that invented bullet time on The Matrix is the founder of Escape.ai.
Oh, wow.
So you're going to find a lot of like, you know, very interesting folks over there that are pioneering VFX filmmaking people. Yeah, all these things. Odyssey, Project Odyssey. This is another film competition. You know, there's so many that you should enter this into now that you've, you know.
I will. Thank you, Chris.
Justifiably won, you know, like.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I mean, everyone has been so kind. I mean, and on in here as well, I saw all your comments. It's just really, really lovely to hear. I mean, it's just when you produce something, especially when it's on your own, for people to be kind and so supportive about it, it's just the most. I mean, it means everything. It really means everything. So yeah, I appreciate it.
It's your baby. It's your heart and soul.
Exactly.
It's you and your entire project. It's you know. That is the beauty of the idea, though, because sometimes in the creative room, when you're with many other people, the idea, and there's no nice way to put this, it gets bastardized. You know, the initial idea goes through so many voices, and some people just want to get their idea in and just so that they're contributing, and it ruins it. The initial concept and the, you know, it's not the thing that you thought of. So like you said, we're in this weird catch-22 where it's great that we can be siloed and solo and produce things that can be appreciated by a community like this, but we also want to be collaborative and, creative. So a mix of the two is keeping the mental health in check, I think. So next project, talk with us, talk with others in the chat about, what you can make. We've got clients with budgets that are willing to do loads of stuff, music videos, advertising, all sorts of clients at the moment. Really cool. So yeah, if you want, especially in the UK, we've been really struggling. We always get like LA collaborators, and it's like, God damn, your time zone.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. Like, it's probably like 9 a.m. in the morning for them right now, or 10 a.m., whatever it is. Like, and it's the end of our working day, as you know. Like, so it's hard to work in real-time collaboration with someone in a time zone like that. Although
absolutely.
We try, obviously. We try.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, man. We're going to watch some other stuff. You can hang around if you want, but I'll obviously dip out. I don't know if you know the Door Brothers, but they are... Oh, okay. I'm definitely going to have to give you a little bit of a pre-warning about this then. Because it's very heavily politically satired, and it's... is very controversial, but they make very interesting social points, and I have a platform for it because they are getting actually banned from social media, and they're getting demonetized on YouTube, and because of corporate associations and the political figures they represent. So I have a platform for stuff, because of the fact that it's not being let to be going as big as it should be elsewhere. So with all that said, it's gonna be intense, it's gonna be crazy. The newest All Brothers, Glenn, you'll know what we're talking about. Let's go.
From the plane to the fucking helicopter, cops pulling up like I'm giving drugs. Nah, I'm a pop star, not a doctor. Bitches calling my phone like I'm locked up non-stop. From the plane to the fucking helicopter, cops pulling up like I'm giving drugs. Nah, I'm a pop star, not a doctor. Hey, shorty with the long text, I don't talk. Shorty with the long legs, she don't walk. Yeah, last year I kept it on the tuck. 2020, I came to fuck it up. I want a long life, a legendary one. I want a quick death and an easy one. I want a pretty girl and an honest one. I want this drink and another one. And I'm troublesome. I'm a pop star, but this shit ain't bubble gum. You would probably think my manager is Scooter Braun. But my manager with 20 hoes and Budokan. Hey, look. Ariana, Selena, my visa. It can take as many charges as it needs to, my girl. That shit platinum just like all of my releases, my girl. Niggas come for me, I tear them all to pieces, my girl. I'ma show your sexy ass what relief is, my girl. Please don't take no shit that's about to have you geeking. And I'm not driving nothing that I gotta stick the keys in. Wonder how I got this way, I swear I got the bitches calling my phone like I'm locked up non-stop. From the plane to the fucking helicopter, cops pulling up like I'm giving drugs. Nah, I'm a pop star, not a doctor. Bitches calling my phone like I'm locked up non-stop. From the plane to the fucking helicopter, cops pulling up like I'm giving drugs. Nah, I'm a pop star, not a doctor. Bitches calling my phone like I'm locked up non-stop. From the plane to the fucking helicopter, cops pulling up like I'm giving drugs. Nah, I'm a pop star, not a doctor. Man, how the fuck 2, 4, 6, 8 watches factory so they appreciate. Crown in my hand and I'm really playing keep away. Shit don't even usually get this big without a Bieber face. Nah, piece of cake. Nah, Turks and cake. Go and get your friends, we can sneak away. Yeah, I keep her like I keep the faith. Wonder how I got this way. Swear I got the bitches calling my phone like I'm locked up non-stop. From the plane to the fucking helicopter, cops pulling up like I'm giving drugs. Nah, I'm a pop star, not a doctor.
Yeah, I told you it was going to be a lot. Like, but the styles.
Clean though, I really like it though.
Oh, they're so good. Hal. Like, honestly, one of the most featured. And like I said, I'm willing to give it a platform because I know it's being damaged elsewhere, and I think it's important, you know, that people are able to make political satire and bring back memes. So the JD Vance meme was in there. Like, it was so many references, so many.
I mean, what's bad about that? It's hilarious, and like I would watch a cop show of Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong Un.
Oh,
that would be.
You know, there's these guys. There's some of them. We've done others. Like, I love that people can do this. You know, like, because before it would have taken so much effort, and to justify doing something like that would have been crazy. You know, like, just to sit and make that with all those transitions, all those styles, all of it. Like, I mean, it would have
money involved would have been insane.
And the people you'd have to persuade that it was a good idea, and all these other, you know, catch-22s. It's like, well, it wouldn't, you know, 99 times out of 100, it wouldn't surface. It wouldn't be there. And now social media algorithms don't like it and are trying to dampen it. And, you know, we're here for everything. We're here for music videos, advertising, filmmaking, you know, animation. I love it all. I think it's so creative, all of the use cases. There's no need to stifle one type or another. Like, as you said, comedy is really lacking. You know, comedy is really one of the things that's lacking in the scene. So I'm trying to find more of it. And, did you ever see the Karen Project? Oh my God!
I think you haven't, is it the one in the car park, or is
yes? It's basically like an action film with a Karen character. You know,
brilliant. That was brilliant.
And that idea is a pub conversation that happened on Friday.
Exactly.
And nothing ever came of it until about 4 months ago, when someone could start doing this stuff, and now you can like get 1 million views on X and YouTube and start a whole creative agency.
You know, you think of something funny in the pub and you're like, wouldn't it be funny if that was a video? You make it, and then everyone else, 1 million other people go, that's hilarious. Because it is hilarious.
And it's like, if you didn't, you know, if it was a silly, dumb pub idea, that's it. You're not going to be motivated enough to finish it. Like you said, if it's not something you truly believe in, you'll forget it with your hangover, and you'll go, nah, you know, it's just not worth the effort or the money or the, you know, because those things will hit you like a ton of bricks when you're like 3 hours deep into Kling generation, still trying to get that one transition and going, come on, is this really worth it? You know, like those things will start to dawn on you. So don't just waste water and electricity. You know, AI is very intensive. Like, think about projects you actually want to do and the consequences of you making them. If you're watching this, like, we have unlocked potential. Like, we may be the poster boys of it. I mean, literally, we've worked with Adidas, Coca-Cola, Spotify. We're a two-man band, but we don't even have an office. I'm working in my spare bedroom right now with the biggest brand on earth, Coca-Cola. And it's like AI enabled that. And it was only because we had an idea one day. We decided I think it was Midjourney version 2.5, when we started to get some coherence into the model, we said, what if we made like a crystal version, like a high premium version of a Coke range? So we made these like crystal bottles and posted them online. And then 2 days later, we had a message from the head of marketing at Coca-Cola. We're starting an AI cohort. Would you like to be the first involved? And then we've done like 50 projects with them in 3 years. It's just been unbelievable. And all of that because of a pub idea that we decided was worth our time, put it out there, didn't know the repercussions. Coke came back, and best client we've ever worked with. So that, you know, we are the poster boys of it. It doesn't really get much bigger than that. Last week we had someone on who is doing the same with Adobe. He started out just, you know, using Firefly, their video model, and now he's partnered with Adobe and is fully doing like AI, you know, workflow videos, which is inspiring more designers onto the platform. Yeah, he's reached the top. You know, Adobe is the pinnacle of the tools that he reached. And so literally he's unlocked the same dream that we had. And I know so many others watching, and now you've, you know, been given this platform, and we want to have you on more, and you're going to have to enter more competitions with this. What's next? No pressure. Hal, what's next? Like,
I mean,
there's other ideas. Have you anything that you want? Like,
I mean, this is the thing. I've just been like, whatever's been popping into my head, I've been making till now because there's been absolutely no pressure.
It's real and authentic and true. That's what you know. There's no other reason.
Yeah.
And then by proxy, you're shown a Curious Refuge enter animation, and then you think, oh, that could work in animation. Like, bang.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm just going to keep doing that. I mean, I've got 3 or 4 things that I'm doing, and then a couple of bigger things that are like in the documentary world, you know, with the archive and stuff. But yeah, I mean, now is the time. So yeah, I'm just going to get everything I can out, and also it's an Easter bank holiday, so I've got 4 days to just.
Oh yeah, of course, Friday and Monday. Yeah, we've got days
strike while the iron's hot.
Is there a Runway 48? No, I don't think so. Not this one. But they are usually over.
It's AIFF, and I think replays is.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, AIFF is the like annual one, which is much broad in terms of You only that's what I loved about Runway, by the way, is you don't even need to purely use AI. It can only be very short amounts, you know, in the AIFF, which is the hybrid sort of workflow for real editors and filmmakers to really think, oh wow, I only need to, you know, I don't need to completely change my workflow or enter anything abnormal. It's like I could make a normal film and just use AI for a voice or just use AI for something, and it's absolutely possible. Yeah, so hybrid workers out there that are just dipping your toe in for the first time, don't be put off, you know, that you need to absolutely change everything in order to enter these things. It's just not true.
No,
just check the rules, obviously, for each one.
I think the superpower of it as well is pitching for stuff. Like you said, you know, like being able to visualize an idea, and because describing an idea with words, you know, it's just not the same as being able to show someone a video or a film or an image of what you're imagining is just so, you know, that's just incredible.
And it works across the board. Chris, who was on earlier in the first half of this, he does MVPs, you know, so minimal viable products, and he's basically bringing things to light with cursor and other, you know, they call it vibe coding, you know. You can get like literally thousands of customers this way, and then go to a real dev and build it and make it more secure and cyber. Like it's an MVP in creative has never been more feasible. So like, get it out there, get your ideas out there. Don't be afraid to enter them on, you know, competitions, social media, start posting them, send them our way. We're happy to feature stuff of all categories. As I've said, like, you know, it can be political satire or it could be the other end. It could be high-end enterprise advertising that says, you know, try and make it as not stale as possible type stuff. We've all been there, you know, like, but Amazing. You've been given adjectives. You've been given. This is amazing.
How amazing. I'm looking at that. That's brilliant. Yeah, how amazing. I've not heard that one.
God. And thanks for connecting so quickly, like I said, and just jumping on, Allies. I really appreciate it. Like, you've got a dedicated spot anytime in the future because of your willingness to come on so quickly.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, and like you've got. Go and connect with all these people on LinkedIn afterwards. You know, many of them have been watching week to week for like years now. It's been amazing. And if you want to suggest any other creators to come on that we should interview and talk, or just content of theirs that you find that we should, you know, feature on the platform, you know, send it through.
Will do, man.
I think we should finish with something funny because it's always the nicest way to do it. I want to show you that Neuroviz. I want to show you can dip out, by the way, if you need to dip out, just dip out.
I've got 10 minutes left, I think, until we come to the office.
Well, yeah, I'm going to literally kill the stream and go and cook for my wife soon. But Tiggy's purpose. Tiggy is the main character of Neuroviz's world.
Okay.
He is. Initially, it kind of looked like a Joe Rogan podcast with a mic set up and everything, and they were doing like interviews back and forth, and it was hilarious, sort of skit comedy. But Tiggy's purpose was the first time Neuroviz took Kling and others and sort of made more cinematic movements of the characters, and that one that you just watched earlier was actually the very latest one he's done. So this is the one right before that, and this is probably, you know, in terms of jumping into the Neuroviz world, the best display of this guy's skill and comedy and writing and everything. So
I'm intrigued.
I bigged it up. It's a 4-minute piece, though. It's a really long piece of content. But let's go. Tiggy's purpose.
How's it going, honey? You get a chance to look at the menu. We've got meat strings on special today.
Do you have anything that I don't have to pay for?
Oh, no, this is a business. You have to pay for everything.
Okay, well, maybe you brought in your own personal lunch that I could eat.
Oh, I've actually been skipping my meals.
Why?
Just trying something new, seeing what happens if I don't eat.
Pretty sure we know what would happen.
Well, you never know till you try.
No, we already know.
We'll see, I guess.
Do you have anything I can eat? It doesn't even have to be unhealthy.
Look, I'm not supposed to do this, but I can get you a meal half off, double the price.
Isn't that the same?
Hey, I'm sorry, I think I'm just now recognizing you're that Glurin that got kidnapped, aren't you?
Been kidnapped a bunch. You'll have to be more specific.
You got kidnapped and that cop died saving you. That was a big story. They never solved that, did they?
No. No, they didn't.
Well, I hope his sacrifice wasn't in vain, and you're living every day to the fullest and getting the most out of life.
Look, right now I'm just trying to get a meal.
Not without paying, you're not.
Can I at least sit for a bit?
Sweetie, you can sit for as long as you'd like outside.
Next stop, Crumpdale. Welcome to Crumpdale.
Hey, honey, you looking for an average time? Okay, just keep walking. That doesn't hurt my self-esteem at all.
Do you have trouble picking what to watch? Does mailing things confuse you? Are you experiencing your own independent thoughts? Then Monodrex might be right for you. Monodrex
Come on,
is a
Tiggy.
treatment that
Ink
takes
something
all
with
the
yourself.
guesswork out of thinking.
Wait.
Monodrex acts as a
I've got
simple
it.
brain.
Whoa! Whoa!
These are good teeth.
It's you.
Hello, Tiggy.
What is this? Where are we?
I've been calling it the blank.
The blank?
Yeah, there's not a lot of Glurins around here for me to workshop these names with. I was going to go with Patty Fatso's School of Fine Arts, but I think if we can both agree on the blank, it'll stick.
But I never got to say thank you for what you did.
Look, it's totally okay with me, as long as you're fine with calling this place the blank, because I've already had the shirts made.
I'm sorry you're gone because of me.
This didn't happen because of you, Tiggy. You can't blame yourself.
Really? You mean that?
It wasn't your fault.
So basically you're saying nothing I do is my fault.
That's not really what I was saying.
It's just I don't know what I'm doing with myself anymore, Prag. I lost my way.
Sometimes you don't find your purpose. Your purpose finds you.
Are you pooping in here, or how does that work?
Goodbye, Tiggy.
Wait, where are you going? Answer the poop question.
Just incredible, isn't it?
Wow.
Just, you know, everything that's been missing, like you say, like the quick, fast-paced action, but also cinematic, but also comedy. You know, like got that like bit of everything. It reminds me of so many shows that used to be on TV that no longer are. You know, like, but like it's a mixed match of everything. You know, and it's unique still. It's like its own universe.
Absolutely, yeah. It's got that kind of late 90s vibe.
Yes. That's exactly the feeling I have about it too. It's like
I love
those
it.
shows that were made then and the earliest days.
Yeah.
Almost like an MTV sort of like mix of stuff, you know, like everything going on there.
The kind of thing you used to find, like you used to fall asleep on the sofa and wake up at like 2 a.m. and it would be on TV and you'd be like, what the hell is this? It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's so good. I mean,
and people love it, you know. Everyone I show it to, they're like, oh, of course we need more stuff like that. You know, it doesn't need to be like so, like, oh, but that's the first one where he's really taken the character, made them move and stuff. Otherwise, it's just like lots of. He started with lip syncing. You know, like I said, he took his skill set, script writing, he applied the AI where it made sense, the visuals, so that he could enact a lot of the characters himself and added voice modifiers and things like this. And like, he really just, he grew into this like over the years, and now he's taking it to a new level, and he can expand the universe and make them move. And he's adapting his skill set because he's come from a script writing background. You know, he's not come from a editing background where that's the skill set.
It's amazingly written. It's so tight. It's fantastic.
It's so tight, isn't it? Like, I'm curious who he is, because it is a no face, you know, like Neuroviz is his sort of pseudonym. And Dave and others have told me there are people like, you know, Ridley Scott's son is working publicly. He's talking about working with this stuff. But many of the Hollywood actors, because of the writer's strike and others, are using pseudonyms and characters and other of like things to like make their content not be associated directly with them and therefore get any online backlash. So it's interesting that it's sort of like having to hide, you know, again, it reminds me of music. Lots of like musicians, you know, they wear masks on stage, Deadmau5 and others, you know, and it's about a character and a vibe that you create rather than it being about you and about this personal brand of some sorts. It's yeah, it's cool. I'm here for it, you know.
I absolutely love it, man. I'm gonna go.
People want to build a universe and keep putting out quality episodes like that. I'll be featuring them every single week. You've got a platform with me. Like, I want more. How do we make more Neuroviz? Like,
AIFF. It reminds me of AIFF as well from Philippe.
So many I dozens of individual references that other people have brought as seeing these, you know, week to week, because that's how prolific he is. He's able to make these almost like every other week. It's kind of nuts, like, but because he's made it a full-time thing and he's monetized through Patreon and like merchandise and other things, he's already doing this to be able to, you know, transition away from whatever he was doing before. Like I said, who knows? He could have been an accountant or whatever. I mean, obviously he's got some film writing, script writing things, so you would assume, but like, who knows when they're a no face, right? Like, there's no actually public persona of who he is, or he's just a guy that made this world that you're into, and that's enough.
Yeah, absolutely. It's brilliant. I love it.
And the director fan audience and the way they can monetize it. Because, by the way, Hal, if you start a Patreon, I will be a top tier subscriber. So if you give me behind the scenes content, if you're making
that's all I need to hear, Chris. I'm down.
I will literally. I'm part of many hundreds of Patreons that I support. Like many hundreds.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I love that direct, you know, I call it the OnlyFans for creators. Like, it's like, you know, like Patreon is the direct to audience behind the scenes stuff I'm into, and others are, you know, like we want to see how you made that, you know, like if you get the time, by the way, Paul's behind the scenes was incredible. His music video behind the scenes thing that he made afterwards was even more popular than the original video, which was very popular itself, because he was showcasing, you know, he used a I'll send you a link and you can see for yourself. But it's becoming more of a trend now because of many, you know, oh, you used AI. It's like, no. Do you know the pain of the editing and the regenerations, the iterative, you know, like this is so much problem solving. You don't understand. So when you show a behind the scenes of the, you know, the anything you've got, you know, that you evidenced and documented in this 2 weeks that you managed to get this out in, like, get it out there, you know, in some form. And
I'd love to.
Record your process too. You know, next time, remember to record a lot more of your screen and what's going on, and even start making voice notes about your feelings and stuff about it, because that's what Paul was doing apparently. Yeah, really smart stuff. I love these BTSs. Anyone that is watching again that wants to do a behind the scenes of anything you've made, I'd happily feature that, just to dispel the rumors, the myths. You know, the chat about, you know, 2 weeks of sweating. 2 weeks of absolute grinding. I know what that took out. I know more than probably most, you know, like the pain. I said when we entered the runway one last time, this was worse than my master's dissertation. The stress, the like absolute like cramming, and like I said, the lip syncing mid projects that just was then rewrite the whole thing so that it makes sense to first person, you know, instead of like over the shoulder shots, and you know it completely changed everything. The storyboard had to be rewritten mid project, and the stress of it all, like I know. just to get that out there and get that in on time for something like, you know, yeah, so kudos, you know.
Thank you, man. That's so, yeah, it's so kind. Yeah, it
Money
is
aside, I think the birthing of something you're proud of creatively is like the thing. And it's unfortunate that they don't get given a platform, honestly, because I want to showcase more. You know, I really do think that like one of the things I've heard as feedback recently for the creative partner programs for Luma and Kling and other things like this is that they want social proof of you, you know, posting stuff and mentioning them and getting brand awareness and stuff like this. But I'm arguing that more filmmakers that are entering into competitions where there's real kudos, that should be a justifiable art for the like partners unlocking. You know, it shouldn't have to just be social media content. And I'm kind of going against my whole thing here because I'm a social media content creator by nature. You know, we own communities and stuff like that, so I'm trying to put back the filmmakers to getting more access to the partner programs, because I've noticed it's more community, big community, and you know, it's not really fair. We want more tools in the hands of, you know, people that are just making art for this. Like it's
yeah, I totally agree with you, man. 100%. Yeah, and I think there'll be more people drawn to it. The more people that see amazing stuff.
I think you'll have inspired many today, Hal, just on the, you know, the comments. I mean, seriously, if they weren't already, you know, now they know that it took you 2 weeks and a passion project and you got that done. You know, like it's yeah,
I think that's also what you're saying about behind the scenes stuff is I think it adds the connection that you get with the creation, and also it helps you realize that you can do something like that as well, obviously, if you're willing to pile the hours in. But you know, it's not like some mysterious art form, you know, magic. You know, there is a way to do it. It's not as straightforward as you might think, but it's definitely doable and anyone can do it. And I think it's like so engaging.
Eric's just reminded me that Laszlo did one as well. He did so his was mind-blowing, because what he did was he made like a mock Porsche, I think it was Porsche or a big high car company as spec ad, and it was almost like, you know, straight to the behind the scenes in the same video. And then it was all of a sudden generated, like, you know, it was the filmmaking of the behind the scenes, but it generated all of that as well. I'll show you. It's kind of a did you see it? Maybe
I didn't. But Tim did something. Theoretically Media did something similar when he did the bridge, and then he did a kind of
the bridge was brilliant.
Yeah, and he done all the like it was an actual film set, and he'd done like the actress talking to the cameraman and stuff, and the green screen.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, Tim did a similar idea. So again, like anything creatively for the behind the scenes like that is great. Like, great reminder there, Eric. Thank you so much. I had forgotten about Laszlo's. I'll send both Laszlo's and Paul's and others that we featured. I think we featured 4 now. There was a great claymation one done as well. And one of my favorite things was, I don't know if it was Project Odyssey or someone, they had a category, best behind the scenes video. And one of the winners of that didn't, you know, poll in the others. So even though they entered into the, like, I think it was character narrative category, it was actually their behind the scenes that won the behind the scenes thing. So
it's already a subgenre.
It's a subgenre. It's a subgenre of awards that's got their own category, and they get title sponsors and stuff, and therefore prize money, and, you know, legit. It's like thousands of dollars they won for their behind the scenes video.
Wow.
Yeah, so real legit stuff. And again, like I want to platform it. Yeah, you got to do it now.
I've got to do it now.
If whatever you've got, that's what I was saying. What did you record? Because sometimes it's like a flash thing, and you don't think to record, you know, your process or anything like that. But you've explained it very well here. But it's like, what video do you have, or you can maybe just do your own.
Yeah, I'd have to do a more kind of like Tim aspect, like approach, and do it as, you know, with a mock setup with the green screen and stuff, and just go retrospectively, I think. But for the next one, you know, anything's game. Yeah.
Well, I think if anything is worth the behind the scenes, 3 people said it's their favorite thing they've ever seen, and one of them just said Megan. She's a Discord community mod for Midjourney. She's about to go and share that with the Midjourney community.
I saw her comments. Yeah, they were very
nice. Hopefully, you know, you start to get a lot more like YouTube views, and then reach out.
I'll message her and say thank you.
Yep. Awesome. And again, thank you so much for dropping in like last minute after work, after all of that. Like, man,
really
thanks guys for tuning in. We're live every Thursday. you know, like I said, make a note of your time zone. In the UK, it's 5 till 7 or 4 till 6, and just look out for the link via creativeeyes.ai. But yeah, tune in when you can, because we can leave your live comments and stuff like that, and we'll be featuring your videos. So send them through to the inbox, and whoever you recommend us to come on next, I will reach out to. I'm so excited about like getting last minute things. I never thought you'd come, honestly. Yeah, I've got someone calling me a client right now, so I'm going to end the stream and then go and pick up straight with them.
Perfect. Lovely to meet you, mate. Good luck.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Bye.